What up? In this video, I'm going to break down a framework that you can use on your sales calls to build up trust so that by the end of the call, they're more likely to say yes to you. So this is a way of asking questions in a particular sequence where typically we're going from least invasive questions to most invasive questions that require the most amount of trust. If you think of it like a house, which I'm going to show you here in a second, a lot of people start at the wrong end of the house. They try to build the house from the roof down, which doesn't make sense, okay? So I'm gonna show you how to build it from the foundations up. And in this video, we'll break that all down. I'm gonna jump into my iPad here, draw some stuff out for you. So let's just jump right into it. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification so you don't miss any more videos, and comment below what you'd like to hear more about. If you want sales stuff, personal development, mindset, anything like that, let me know. See you in a second. This box, this house that I'm going to draw here represents two things. Number one, it's your prospect's current reality. I'm going to run out of space. Imagine it says current reality. And then it's also the house of trust. All right, so I want to explain, how do most sales calls go? Well, you want to know about their revenue, you want to know about their business, you want to know about their bank account, you know, their BA for bank account. These are what I would call invasive questions. And in order to ask an invasive question, it requires a lot of trust. So for example, up here at the pinnacle of the roof, the apex, this is questions about the bank account. Let me ask you, who do you talk to about your bank account stuff? Maybe your girlfriend, maybe yourself, like your accountant, your business partner maybe. So this would be people that are like in your inner circle, right? And this roof here is business stuff. So a lot of people start at the top of the roof when they haven't built the foundational pieces, which we're going to go into in just a second here. And so really what we're talking about is a way to build trust and connection before getting into the stuff that is more invasive, okay? So rather than going from the top down, from most invasive questions to least invasive, we're going to go from the bottom up. And let me just break this down. So there's really 5 B's here. So bank account and business at the top. The other 3 are very important. So let me write them out. So the first one is being. All right, this one's being. And you can think of being as like your well-being. All right. Now, just before explaining all this came from my buddy David. He studies a lot of this guy named Garrett J. White stuff. And this is part of Garrett J. White's framework. So if you're familiar with that, that's where it came from. The other B is their body. All right, so this one's body. And then the other B is their balance. And I think of balance as their relationships. So it could be with their friends, their family, their wife, their kids, their customers. And so the easiest one, because it's on the bottom here, the foundational piece, is their being. So if you jump on a call, I would start off the call being like, hey, is it cool if, before going into the business stuff, if I just ask you a few questions about you and how you're doing? I like to connect with the person before going into the business. And if they give you some pushback, you can just say, look, is it fair to say that the level to which you grow your business is really limited by who's running it? Like if I took Jeff Bezos and put him in your business, do you think he would be able to scale up and massively grow it? Right. So it's all about the person, right? So why don't we just start with some easy questions? So, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, what would you say your overall sense of well-being is? 10 is like you jump out of bed and you're thrilled for the day. 1 is you're dreading the day at work, right? So this one might be joy, and this one might be dread. Or it could be this one, like your work gives you a lot of energy, and this one on this side, it's depleting you. Depleted. Let's just say it's depleted. Right? Or this one, it makes you anxious. Or this one makes you calm. And so the reason why you want to ask these questions right away, so we start establishing a baseline, but really, when you think of your goal in a sales call, it's what? We want to go deep, fast. We want to go from thinking. We want to take them out of the thinking mind, the analytical mind, and get them into their feelings or their emotions. So I tend to think of a call like, if this is the planet, right? Let's say this is the core. Our job is to go from the surface down to the core, where they're in a more emotional state, where they're more likely to take action. And so these are some questions that you can just ask right away to do that. And so what I've always found to be weird on a call, like a typical call, let's say you're selling leads, right? You jump on and we're chatting, and I'm like, okay, so what got you on the call? And you're like, oh, I'm looking for more leads. I'm like, okay, how many more? They're like, what's your goal with the leads? It's like, oh, I want to get like 50 a month. I'm like, okay, how much are you getting now? I'm like, and you will say, oh, I'm getting like 15. And so I've established a bit of a gap. And then I would say, okay, gotcha. And of the 15 that you're getting now, how many are closing? You might say 5. Okay, so you have a 33% closing rate. Cool. And how much are you making? You might say 20K, right? It's like, okay, cool. So how much more do you think you would make if you got the 50 leads? And then you might say, math's not an exact science. Let's say this is 60. So that would it be 80K? And you would say, yeah. And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, we basically established a gap. This is all still very surface level. And eventually I would try to find a problem, right? I'll be like, what is the problem that we're really trying to solve here? Is it leads? Why not just say a 20K? And then you might say, well, I want more money so that I can hire more people. And then I would say, why do you want to hire people? And you say, well, I want to get my time back. And I would say, what would you do with the extra time? And then you would say, oh, well, I'd spend it with my family. Spend with family. And I would say, oh, okay. Now the thing is, we can go the other way. So you might start asking these questions here. And let's say that when it comes to your being, sense of overall well-being, you're like a 3 out of 10. And then I might ask, how is that showing up for you in your relationships? I'd be like, are you single? Are you married? Do you have a girlfriend? What's your relationship status? Yeah, I got a girlfriend. Okay, and like, how do you feel like? Do you feel like this is impacting your relationship at all? Like the fact that you're like a 3 out of 10, that you're anxious all the time, and that your business is really stressing you out? Yeah. Well, in what way though? Well, this is happening. This is happening. Okay, and like, what about in your body? Are you taking care of yourself? Like, are you going to the gym? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping? I mean, I don't know about you guys watching this, but when I was going through money issues, there'd be times when I'd be up at 3 a.m. I just couldn't sleep because I'm like, damn, where is my next client going to come from? How am I going to pay the rent? And it takes a massive toll on your body. And so even if you're selling something that is like, I help you get more sales, you can help people in many different areas. Like, because from here, let's say they've explained all this stuff, right? You have a really good sense now that their problem is not just needing more leads or more sales. It's that their relationships are taking a big toll. They're stressed all the time. Their body is like falling apart. You know, they're all the things that we want to do on a call, by the way. Once we find the problem here, all the things we want to do are basically expand on it and stretch it and really flesh it all out, right? So that's how we go from the logical problem to the emotional pain. So by expand, I mean we're getting them to tell us how it's affecting their relationships, how it's affecting their physical health, their overall mental well-being. And now we went from the problem being I need 15 leads to like, man, I like, if this keeps up, my wife might leave me. If this keeps up, I might have a heart attack. If this keeps up, I don't know. I might end up in the loony bin. I don't know what the ultimate problem will be. But you see, this is just another way. Rather than starting at the invasive stuff, it's actually much easier to start with like a well-being question, because it's easy to jump on there. So how's it going, man? Like, how are things? Oh, well, they're all right. Well, cool. Like, and then just kind of going into it. And so for me, I've always found it weird to kind of go the other route, asking people, well, like, how does that make you feel? Like when we're talking about business problems. But when you start with the person, it's just way more natural. And it'll build that connection faster. And ultimately, it will help us with this like, here's the main problem with sales. So you have you, Mr. Stickman, and then you have your prospect over here. And so you think that you're talking, there's like a two-way communication street going, but typically there's actually a wall here. And this is the trust barrier. So there's not a completely free-flowing exchange of information. If anything, prospects will jump on and they will lie to you. They won't tell you the truth. You'll have to keep digging. You can tell if there's a trust barrier up if you just tell that they're just like holding stuff back and they're not completely open about their situation. And so you can kind of prevent this if you have good marketing or a good brand. You can kind of lower it, or you can kind of like knock holes in this wall. So maybe they hop on it and there's a little hole in the wall, but we still want to knock it down on the call so that they drop their guard, and that allows us to have an open and honest conversation about where they're at, which is the goal. And so when you have trust, when you've knocked down the wall, what does that do? It makes them more likely to buy your shit. All right, so just another way to look at your calls. The other thing is you can use these 5 Bs to evaluate yourself. So you might say, well, how am I? What is my well-being based? Like, how is my current sales skills, for example, affecting my well-being? Do I find a lot of joy in what I do, or is it super painful just even thinking about it? Okay, well, how are my relationships? How is my life outside of work? Do I have any work-life balance? How is my body? How is this all affecting my business? Because this current reality here, like, you can't argue the fact that these 3 areas, your body, your being, and your balance, is it's directly linked to your business and to your bank account. So if you are 10 out of 10 on your body and your being, but your relationships are out of whack, it will have an effect on you. So without going into a whole bunch more stuff, the main thing with this that I like is that it is easy to remember. Like, you don't need to have a script for this stuff. You just need the framework of asking these questions and kind of being more curious about them, right? So before you go into all the business stuff, just ask them about these things and just make it, if they try to make it weird, just be like, yeah, dude, I like to know about how the person's doing before we talk about business. And so, yeah, this would work really for just about any type of sale, unless you're doing maybe enterprise B2B, but whether it's something logical like cybersecurity or like accounting or like tax planning or something like that, yeah, you can still find a way to incorporate this stuff, right? Because you're always talking to people. And until we start selling to AI, which I don't think will be anytime soon, you want to connect with the person first and then build up the trust to ask the more invasive questions about their business and about their bank account. All right, so once you've knocked down that trust wall and there's a free flow of information, then and only then will it make sense? And will it be time to pitch them on your offer? So hope this helps. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you're alerted to any new videos. And if you want to go deeper on this, David and I are doing another workshop. Just DM me on Instagram right here at Ben W. Byrne and just say workshop and I'll give you the details on that. Okay, so with that said, if you want any other videos, just let me know. I'd love to know what kind of stuff you're interested in, whether it's sales stuff or personal development stuff or anything like that. Just let me know and I'll catch you in the next one. All right. Thanks for watching. Peace.